Hello, my name is James Spiro and this is FinTech 2023. I'm joined now with Inbal Polak, the Director of the Investment Department at the Israel Securities Authority. Inbal, hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you, please, about some of the reforms that are coming into place in the FinTech sector, and I was wondering if you could kind of shed some light into what those may look like, please.
Okay. So the most exciting thing happened this June, in the beginning of the month, that the Payment Service Providers Law was passed by the Parliament vote and will come into force in 1 year's time. This law is a supplementary law to the Payment Service Law from 2019, and it requires the payment companies to be licensed and to be supervised by the Israeli Securities Authority.
Okay, it's very exciting.
Yes.
Sounds like a very exciting change for the country and for those working with this. What's it going to look like in the future now? What does this reform mean, really, in terms of cross-border payments, in terms of people like me or you or businesses? What's the tangible change going to be?
Okay, so these companies that are tech companies with the license will be able to connect with payment systems, which means to connect to Shva, which is the Israeli national switch for cards, and Masav, an intrabank clearing center. That means that these companies, fintech companies, would be able to have the same ground for play as banks. And that will bring competition to the market, to the payments market, and that will eventually bring lower costs and better service to all of us while paying in the market, in the local market, but more over cross-border. Israelis are very tech-savvy and we like online shopping, and we today pay a lot to buy overseas. This reform will bring lower fees, lower payment service, and better service.
It sounds like a win for capitalism all the way through. It sounds like everyone's going to be a winner here. We've spoken about the benefits and what they'll bring, and you've mentioned it's coming into play next year.
Sure.
Can you give a timeline as to roughly how things may look between now and next year? What can people expect to see, and how is that going to how's that change going to come about?
Okay, so the law that was passed, as I mentioned, plays only the ground rules. In this year, the Israeli Securities Authority, will publish to be all of the rules that these companies will have to stand by. And in a year's time, we will start giving licenses. And from that moment on, as I mentioned, connection to the system centers, to the payment systems, and they will start giving service to the end client and to the merchants. Many Israeli merchants target overseas markets, and for them, it's a different play altogether.
Wow, so we can finally get our Amazon parcels coming in a nice, reasonable time and reasonable costs.
That is on one hand, and lower fees when paying. On the other, it's for Israel merchants to get their merchandise overseas if they want to play with Europe, if they are looking at the US or other places in the world.
It sounds like a fantastic law, a fantastic reform, and it sounds well overdue. So I cannot wait until next June. And
Sure.
it sounds like the world will be getting a lot smaller in a good way.
This law is part of a bigger reform. It is part of the open finance reform, and it is the second law that the Israeli Securities Authorities pass after the information account law. And you know what is interesting about that is that it's the first time that the legislator says that the financial data is owned by the customer. Only he or she can approve any financial entity to use this financial data and better its service. For example, to bring your payment program equal to your income in the future and not have a gap between when your income is arriving and your payment program.
Inbal, it sounds amazing, and it sounds like a really exciting opportunity and an exciting future. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain it today, and hopefully see you in FinTech 2024 and we will be discussing some of the impacts that this has been having.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.